ma voix. Padam, 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 il arrive en courant derrière moi. Padam, 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 il me fait le coup du souviens-toi. Padam, 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 c'est un air qui me montre du doigt. Et je traîne après moi comme une drôle d'erreur cet air qui sait tout par cœur. Il dit rappelle-toi tes amours, rappelle-toi puisque c'est ton tour. Y a pas de raison pour que tu ne pleures pas avec tes souvenirs sur les bras. Et moi je revois ce qui reste, mes 20 ans font battre au tambour. Je vois s'entrebattre des gestes, toute la comédie des amours sur cette terre qui va toujours. Padam, 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 des je t'aime de 14 juillet. Padam, 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 des toujours qu'on achète au rabais. Padam, 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 des veux-tu en voilà par un paquet. Et tout ça pour tomber juste au coin de la rue, sur l'air qui m'a reconnu. Écoutez le chahut qu'il me fait, comme si tout mon passé défilait. Faut garder du chagrin pour après, j'en ai tout un solfège sur cette terre qui bat comme un cœur de bois. Le ciel bleu sur nous peut s'effondrer et la terre devient s'écouler. De ma porte, si tu m'aimes, je me fous du monde entier. Tant que l'amour inondera mes matins, tant que mon corps frémira sous tes mains, je m'apporte les problèmes, mon amour, puisque tu m'aimes. J'irai jusqu'au bout du monde, je me ferai teindre en blonde si tu me le demandais. J'irai décrocher la lune, j'irai voler la fortune si tu me le demandais. Je renierai ma patrie, je renierai mes amis si tu me le demandais. On peut bien rire de moi, je ferai n'importe quoi si tu me le demandais. Si un jour la vie t'arrache à moi, si tu meurs, que tu sois loin de moi, de ma porte, si tu m'aimes, moi je mourrai aussi. ville en fête et en délire, suffocant sous le soleil et sous la joie. Et j'entends dans la musique les cris, les rires qui éclatent et rebondissent autour de moi. Et perdu parmi ces gens qui me bousculent, étourdi, désemparé, je reste là. Quand soudain je me retourne, il se recule, et la foule vient me jeter entre ses bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, écrasés l'un contre l'autre, nous ne formons qu'un seul corps. Et le flot sans effort nous pousse enchaîner l'un et l'autre, et nous laisse tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Entraînés par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, nos deux mains restent soudées. Et parfois soulevés, nos deux corps enlacés s'envolent et retombent tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Et la joie que l'a poussée par son sourire me transperce et rejaillit au fond de moi. Mais soudain je pousse un cri parmi les rires quand la foule vient l'arracher d'entre mes bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, nous éloigne l'un de l'autre, je lutte et je me débat. Mais le son de ma voix s'étouffe dans le rire des autres, et je crie de douleur, de fureur et de rage, et je pleure. Et traîné par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, je suis emporté au loin. Et je crispe mes poings maudissant la foule qui me vole l'homme qu'elle m'avait donné que je n'ai jamais retrouvé.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche, voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, que ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat. Des nuits d'amour à plus finir, un grand bonheur qui prend sa place, des ennuis, des chagrins s'effacent, heureux, heureux, à en mourir. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est toi pour moi, moi pour toi dans la vie. Tu me l'as dit, m'as juré pour la vie. Dès que je t'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat.
You make my head go whirling. You are my carousel. Around and round I'm twirling. Oh, what a dizzy spell. You are my carousel. Tu me fais tourner la tête. Mon manège à moi, c'est toi. Je suis toujours à la fête quand tu me tiens dans tes bras. Je ferai le tour du monde, ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. Et la terre n'est pas assez ronde pour m'étourdir autant que toi. Oh, on est bien tous les deux quand on est ensemble nous deux. Quelle vie on a tous les deux. Quand on s'aime comme nous deux, on pourrait changer de planète. Tant que j'ai mon cœur près du tien, j'entends les flonflons de la fête, et la terre n'y est pour rien. Oh oui, parlons-en de la terre, pour qui elle se prend la terre. Ma parole, y a qu'elle sur terre, y a qu'elle pour faire tant de mystère, mais pour nous y a pas de problème, car c'est pour la vie qu'on s'aime. Et s'il y avait pas de vie même, nous on s'aimerait quand même, car tu me fais tourner la tête. Mon manège à moi, c'est toi. Je suis toujours à la fête quand tu me tiens dans tes bras. Je ferai le tour du monde, ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. La terre n'est pas assez ronde pour m'étourdir autant que toi. Ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. J'ai beau chercher à la ronde, mon manège à moi, c'est toi.
Cet air qui m'obsède jour et nuit, cet air n'est pas né d'aujourd'hui. Il vient d'aussi loin que je viens, traîné par 100 000 musiciens. Un jour cette terre me rend la folle, sans voix j'ai voulu dire pourquoi, mais il m'a coupé la parole. Il parle toujours avant moi et sa voix couvre ma voix. Padam, 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 il arrive en courant derrière moi. Padam, 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 il me fait le coup du souviens-toi. Padam, 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 c'est un air qui me montre du doigt et je traîne après moi comme une drôle d'erreur cet air qui sait tout par cœur. Il dit rappelle-toi tes amours, rappelle-toi puisque c'est ton tour. Y a pas de raison pour que tu ne pleures pas avec tes souvenirs sur les bras. Et moi je revois ce qui reste, mes 20 ans font battre au tambour. Je vois s'entrebattre des gestes, toute la comédie des amours sur cette terre qui va toujours. Padam, 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 des je t'aime de 14 juillet. Padam, 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 des toujours qu'on achète au rabais. Padam, 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 des veux-tu en voilà par un paquet. Et tout ça pour tomber juste au coin de la rue, sur l'air qui m'a reconnu. Écoutez le chahut qu'il m'a fait, comme si tout mon passé défilait. Pour garder du chagrin pour après, j'en ai tout un solfège sur cette terre qui bat comme un cœur de bois.
Le ciel bleu sur nous peut s'effondrer et la terre devient s'ébouler. De ma part, si tu m'aimes, je me fous du monde entier. Tant que l'amour inondera mes matins, tant que mon corps frémira sous tes mains. Je m'apporte les problèmes, mon amour, puisque tu m'aimes. J'irai jusqu'au bout du monde, je me ferai teindre en blonde si tu me le demandais. J'irai décrocher la lune, j'irai voler la fortune si tu me le demandais. Je renierai ma patrie, je renierai mes amis si tu me le demandais. On peut bien rire de moi, je ferai n'importe quoi si tu me le demandais. Si un jour la vie t'arrache à moi, si tu meurs, que tu sois loin de moi, peu m'importe. Si tu m'aimes, comme moi je mourrai aussi.
il en fête et en délire, suffocant sous le soleil et sous la joie. Et j'entends dans la musique les cris, les rires qui éclatent et rebondissent autour de moi. Et perdu parmi ces gens qui me bousculent, étourdi, désemparé, je reste là. Quand soudain je me retourne, il se recule, et la foule vient me jeter entre ses bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, écrasés l'un contre l'autre, nous ne formons qu'un seul corps. Et le flot sans effort nous pousse enchaîner l'un et l'autre, et nous laisse tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Entraînés par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, nos deux mains restent soudées. Et parfois soulevés, nos deux corps enlacés s'envolent et retombent tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Et la joie qu'elle a poussée par son sourire me transperce et rejaillit au fond de moi. Mais soudain, je pousse un cri parmi les rires quand la foule vient l'arracher d'entre mes bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, nous éloigne l'un de l'autre, je lutte et je me débat. Mais le son de ma voix s'étouffe dans le rire des autres, et je crie de douleur, de fureur et de rage, et je pleure. Et traîné par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, je suis emporté au loin. Et je crispe mes poings maudissant la foule qui me vole l'homme qu'elle m'avait donné, que je n'ai jamais retrouvé.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche, voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat. Des nuits d'amour à plus finir, un grand bonheur qui prend sa place, des ennuis, des chagrins s'effacent, heureux, heureux, à en mourir. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. mots de tous les jours et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est toi pour moi, moi pour toi dans la vie. Tu me l'as dit, m'as juré pour la vie. Dès que je t'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat.
You make my head go whirling. You are my carousel. Around and round I'm twirling. Oh, what a dizzy spell. You are my carousel. Tu me fais tourner la tête. Mon manège à moi, c'est toi. Je suis toujours à la fête quand tu me tiens dans tes bras. Je ferai le tour du monde, ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. Et la terre n'est pas assez ronde pour m'étourdir autant que toi. Oh, on est bien tous les deux quand on est ensemble nous deux. Quelle vie on a tous les deux. Quand on s'aime comme nous deux, on pourrait changer de planète. Tant que j'ai mon cœur près du tien, j'entends les flonflons de la fête, et la terre n'y est pour rien. Oh oui, parlons-en de la terre, pour qui elle se prend la terre. Ma parole, y a qu'elle sur terre, y a qu'elle pour faire tant de mystère, mais pour nous y a pas de problème, car c'est pour la vie qu'on s'aime. Et s'il y avait pas de vie même, nous on s'aimerait quand même, car tu me fais tourner la tête. Mon manège à moi, c'est toi. Je suis toujours à la fête quand tu me tiens dans tes bras. Je ferai le tour du monde, ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. Et la terre n'est pas assez ronde pour m'étourdir autant que toi. Ça ne tournerait pas plus que ça. J'ai beau chercher à la ronde, mon manège à moi, c'est toi.
Cet air qui m'obsède jour et nuit, cet air n'est pas né d'aujourd'hui. Il vient d'aussi loin que je viens, traîné par 100 000 musiciens. Un jour cet air me rendra folle, 100 fois j'ai voulu dire pourquoi, mais il m'a coupé la parole. Il parle toujours avant moi et sa voix couvre ma voix. Padam, 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 il arrive en courant derrière moi. Padam, 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 il me fait le coup du souviens-toi. Padam, 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 c'est un air qui me montre du doigt et je traîne après moi comme une drôle d'erreur cet air qui sait tout par cœur. Il dit rappelle-toi tes amours, rappelle-toi puisque c'est ton tour. Y a pas de raison pour que tu ne pleures pas avec tes souvenirs sur les bras. Et moi je revois ce qui reste, mes 20 ans font battre tambour. Je vois s'entrebattre des gestes, toute la comédie des amours sur cette terre qui va toujours. Padam, 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 des je t'aime de 14 juillet. Padam, 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 des toujours qu'on achète au rabais. Padam, 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 des veux-tu en voilà par un paquet. Et tout ça pour tomber juste au coin de la rue sur l'air qui m'a reconnu. Écoutez le chahut qu'il m'a fait, comme si tout mon passé défilait. Faut garder du chagrin pour après, j'en ai tout un solfège sur cette terre qui bat comme un cœur de bois.
Good morning and welcome to the memorial service, funeral, celebration of Gigi, mum, grandma, auntie, taunt, whatever she was to you, friend. That's right, Tasha. I just want to acknowledge those of you that have travelled long distances, Carmen and Sophie all the way from Queensland, and Gerard as well, and Tracy, and those from Melbourne this morning. Thanks for making the journey. Obviously, Mum meant a lot to you, as we know that. Marina, Vanessa, Glenn, and it's just great that you could be here at this celebration. I'll just say right from the start, just a couple of thanks, if that's okay. Thanks to Thomas for organising all the AV stuff this morning. We are streaming live to all parts of the globe, I believe, and so I want to welcome those who are with us from different countries, South Africa, Switzerland, Belgium, wherever you might be. Obviously, Mum meant a lot to you as well. Thanks to Ruthie Marr as well for organising quite a bit of stuff for us as well. There will be light refreshments after this morning and out the back here, and so you are, of course, welcome to stay and share in a cup of tea or coffee and some eats. And thank you to Coffee on Indi, Renee, and your team down there who have done that. I think everyone knows me, but in case you don't, or in case somebody watching doesn't, my name's Andre. I'm one of Gigi's sons, Gerard's the other one, and I'm the eldest one, and the better-looking one. Sorry, what was that? Oh, you were just agreeing with me? Okay, and Ingrid. Ingrid's not a son, but Ingrid's... she is indeed Tasha. And a little bit later on, we'll have an opportunity if you have a story or something. Obviously, time will restrain us a little bit, but if you have a story, I have a list of people who would like to share something. But if I haven't tapped you on the shoulder or you haven't said anything to me, then there'll still be an opportunity to be able to share something at a particular point in the service. So obviously we're here today to remember, celebrate and bid bon voyage to a remarkable woman. Mother to Ingrid, who is watching from California. Hi Ingrid, I trust that you can hear and see everything. And she's unable to be here because of the whole COVID thing, etc. Myself, Andre and Gerard. And she was grandmother to Andrew, who's watching from Kalgoorlie. Welcome, Andrew. Good to see you. Oh, good to see you. Good for you to see us, I hope. And grandmother also to Tasha. Nathan, who is watching from New York. Hi, Nathan. Welcome. And also grandma to Renee and Beth. And Donnie, who's watching from Belgium. Hi, Donnie. And also Catherine, Anna, who's with us from Switzerland. Adrian and Carmen and Sophie, who have travelled down from Queensland, as I said earlier on. She was also a great-grandmother of Georgina, Amelia, Abby, Lily, Emma, and little Betsy, the youngest one. And of course, a friend to so many more, and some, as I've already said, have travelled long distances to be here with us this morning. So thanks for coming, guys. We also say hi and welcome to the other family members and friends who may be joining online from other parts of the world. Mum had family spread out all over the place. So we trust that you've been able to hook into the YouTube link and that's all working well. Thanks for being here. While there's no doubt that this is a time of grieving and of loss, as it should be, it's also a time of celebrating a life well lived. We do feel a sense of loss, of that there is no doubt, and it's right that we do so. But our encouragement this morning is in the memories of Gigi, that evoke in us a sense of gratitude for having known her, a sense of inspiration for the life she lived, a life of adventure as we know her, a life of courage, of sacrifice, of overcoming and of love. We can even allow ourselves at this time to feel a sense of joy as we recall her beautiful smile, her laugh, her sense of fun, her generosity, and those beautiful, mischievous eyes which reflected her love of life and of people. Those who knew Gigi are better off for doing so. Gigi's faith was a real one. She believed in a God who, despite some of the hardships she faced, was merciful, gracious, and forgiving. And their character strengths, which were reflected in her attitude toward others. And I think we could all testify to that. In the book of Ecclesiastes, in the scriptures, the writer says that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die. Gigi was born on February 15, 1929 and left this earth on March 1, 2021. And we give thanks and are grateful for her 92 years and the legacy which she has left. And I'd like to call Ruth up, my wife. She'd come and there she is, and share a reading with you.
Just reading a Psalm of David, Psalm number 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters, and he refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. And I like this. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I think Gigi's up there, dwelling with a few of the people that she loves most.
Thanks, honey. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks that we can come together as family and friends and mourn and be sad with each other and celebrate as well at the life and the loss of our mum, our grandmother, great-grandmother, auntie. We thank you, God, that you have opened wide the doors of heaven and have welcomed mum in with loving arms. We thank you for her life here on earth. We thank you that she touched so many people. We thank you, Lord, that her legacy lives on through her children, great-grandchildren and grandchildren. We thank you for your mercy, your goodness, and your faithfulness to us all. Amen. Well, I'm going to get Gerard to come, and Gerard's going to share the main eulogy with some photos and sit back and enjoy. And if you didn't know Mum all that well, that's okay. You're about to know a whole lot more about her. So, Gerard, welcome. That's all right, Tasha.
Thank you all for coming today. For those not able to make the journey, but are still here, you're still here with us in spirit. Gigi has touched the lives and hearts of many people. I don't think I've met a person that has not mentioned how inspirational, vibrant, warm and caring she was. Even a brief encounter with Gigi would leave people with positive reflections. So let me share a brief history of Gigi's life as I know it. Gigi was born 15 February 1929 in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, in Africa. She was the second of three children of Basil and Francine Georgitsis. Basil was of Greek nationality and Francine French. You can see the multiculturalism was there from the start of her life. We got Basil. Gigi was, her elder brother was Andre and younger sister Madeleine. The Georgitsis family was moved from Ethiopia to neighbouring Sudan in Gigi's earlier years. Her father Basil built and developed the largest soap factory in Africa. They had a privileged life being expats in an Italian colonised country. With her father being Greek and mother French and both speaking the language at home, Gigi was destined to be multilingual. Then throw in that they were socialising with Italians, she learned Italian. Then remember they were in Ethiopia and Sudan, where the workers, housemaids and locals spoke Arabic. She became fluent also in Arabic. Many years later, 2011, I was with Gigi in Shepparton, Victoria, where we went to the local Middle Eastern shopping centre. When standing at the counter, a dark-skinned woman came in and asked the shopkeeper for something. Gigi turned to the woman on hearing her speak and spoke to her in an Ethiopian dialect of Arabic that she hadn't heard for many years. The smile and amazement that came from that woman was infectious to both the shopkeeper and I. Gigi spent her childhood and adolescence in the Sudan. In her late teens, her parents thought she needed to finish her education and sent her to England. So went to England at the age of 17. At this stage, Gigi was fluent in 4 languages but could not speak English. Add English to her list of languages. So she now has 5. After finishing school, Gigi undertook and completed a nursing training. And as, if you know Gigi, the person standing up at the back on the bed, okay, things didn't change. After finishing school, Gigi undertook, somewhere during this time, Gigi was showing her desire to be adventurous and decides to go backpacking with a girlfriend. Remember, this is around 1950. Girls aren't meant to do this kind of thing from an early age. And from an early age, "Don't tell me I can't" is a repetitive theme for Gigi. Gigi was very close to one of her first cousins, George Davis. George's mother, Tante Hélène, my godmother, was very close, and Gigi was very close to both of them. George's father, Michel, was a coffee trader, and he and his family lived in Aden in Yemen. Bit of a hot spot these days, but it was quite good then, which is at the southern entrance to the Red Sea. George's father died in 1952. When George's father died, Tontelaine developed depression, and Gigi, in a trait that was always evident throughout her life, went to Aden to nurse her. It is during this time that Gigi fell in love with a young coffee trader and would have married him, but had it not been for the closure of the Suez Canal in 1956. Due to a huge drop in the coffee trade, he left Aden and returned to Italy. Again, Gigi, putting others first, decided to stay in Aden and look after Tontelaine. It is during this time that Gigi was visiting a friend at the hospital and delivering grilled fish to her friend. As she passed another patient, they said, "Hey, where's mine?" This is the start of a friendship and then a relationship with a new man, David John Whitten. They returned to England together and were married on the 11th of May, 1959. From this relationship, a daughter, Ingrid, was born in England. Another child, Andre, was also born in England 2 years later. Having 2 children, but striving for perfection, they had a third child. And he was born in Cyprus. After 6 months, the Whitten family returned to England. Gigi and David were unsettled in England and did not like the weather being so cold. Remember, they had both grown up in Northern Africa, and at the time, immigration to Australia was very popular. So David and Gigi decided to migrate as 10-pound poms. The Whittens left England on the P&O ship the Fair Star and arrived in Australia in August 1965. Now this is a very special photo because we've got people here. The other little girl in there is Vanessa, who came out on the ship with us. So it's the arms of family goes far and wide. They chose Melbourne to disembark and were first accommodated at the Migration Hostel in Maribyrnong. Ingrid, aged 7, Andre, 5, and I was 3. David, being educated and multilingual, began teaching, while Gigi, as well as running the family home, began nursing. Shortly afterwards, Gigi and David decided to purchase 5 acres of land and build the family home in Marshall, Geelong, Victoria. This home would lend itself to many fond memories for a lot of family and friends. Gigi's mother stayed with the family in the early days. Gigi's sister and her family also shared the house when they first immigrated to Australia. David's father and also another to stay with and help build the memories. Gigi, with her linguistic capabilities, was able to try her hand at teaching French at Geelong College. I failed, I was in her class. Whilst still nursing, so she was teaching, she was nursing and keeping the house. And to my horror, she did the teaching. I went off there a little bit, sorry about that, for a short while. Something I hated at the time was her teaching me, but would cherish, and I wish I had that opportunity again. In 1972, David was offered a 3-year position with the Education Department of the Commonwealth Government. This was in Zambia, Africa, where Gigi's brother lived. Andre and family lived. Gigi loved and thrived in Africa, and being with her brother after so long, she cherished it. As when we first left going to Africa. After Africa, we came back to Geelong, and after a couple of years, we moved to Melbourne, where Gigi continued with her nursing and keeping the family together. In 1979, Gigi and David separated though, after quite a few years of marriage. Gigi moved back to the family home in Geelong, which had not been sold. One of the several times I was able to live with Gigi, just the two of us. These times I will always cherish. Gigi and David decided to try again their marriage, and Gigi moved back to Melbourne. They bought a unit in Williamstown, Melbourne. Wow, to have that waterfront unit today, location, location, location. They both decided the weather in Victoria was depressing, ain't that the truth? and moved to Maroochydore, Queensland. Gigi and David decided in 1985 they would do the final hurrah trip for everyone, trip of everyone they knew in the world. So they went for numerous months. When they returned, their marriage was over and Gigi moved back to the original family home in Marshall, Geelong. An example of Gigi's tenacity and determination, I share this story. On returning to Geelong, Gigi went to the bank manager for a loan to buy David out of the family home. The bank manager would not give her an immediate loan, and she was a woman because she was a woman and she needed to prove her individual saving capabilities. The bank manager knew Gigi and was only following procedures, so they said to Gigi, "If you can show me a savings of $30,000, I'll give you the loan." So Gigi says, "Deal." After 2 years and working 3 jobs in Geelong, she went back to the bank manager and paid out the loan. Inspirational stuff. In 1990, Gigi sold the original home in Marshall and made a sea change and bought a modest house in Bowen Heads, Victoria. If you ask anyone in the Whitten family or friends, or anyone who had visited this modest house, it was an exceptional experience of love and family. And it's only talking with Steve just before we started that he brought up that memory as well. Don't get me wrong, there were disagreements and varying points of view, and Gigi was not one to mince her words, which could at times be troubling and upsetting for some. If Gigi decided on something, you were a slow learner if you thought you could change her mind. Gigi had the home in Bowen Heads for 16 years. She loved it, the area and the people. At some stage, her ashes will be released off the bluff at Bowen Heads at her request. Some of the grandchildren. Remember that one, Tasha? Whilst in Bowen Heads, she joined numerous clubs, the Lions, Mahjong, U3A, University of the Third Age. She also taught conversational French. Whilst living in Bowen Heads, one of the many overseas trips was a solo backpacking trip to South America. Gigi was 67 years of age, and her goal was to be in Tierra del Fuego for her 68th birthday, which is that little town right down the most southern town in South America. She went everywhere and did everything. She befriended the young travellers and stayed with them in youth hostels. 6 months that trip went for, and to show how frugal and how inspirational she was, the whole trip cost her $7,000, including airfares. Wow, wow, wow. Inspirational stuff again. Unfortunately, Gigi's children all moved to different parts of the globe. Ingrid to America, Andre was settled here in Redcliffs, and me working overseas but settling in Murchison, Victoria, near my cousin Ghislaine. Gigi decided to be closer to family and moved to Tatura near Murchison. Gigi, with her passion of life, and quickly immersed herself in Tatura community, where again she joined numerous clubs, the Lions, the U3A, the Volunteer Tourist Information, is now in her late 70s. Again, Gigi taught conversational French. Her students were very keen and wanted more. Gigi would tell them that to get better, you must practice speaking French. She advised them to holiday in France and practice. Her students, all being around her age, were mortified that she suggested this, as they couldn't possibly organise that sort of thing. Here we go with that inspirational stuff again. Gigi said, "Well, I'll take you." So she did. Gigi asked her who was interested in a trip to France. The first year, about 2008, there were 10 students. Gigi booked accommodation, usually houses in the middle of France. She booked mini buses, etc. Students had to book their own airfares and transfers, and Gigi took us over as tour guide. She even drove one of the minibuses, much to the horror of some. The first trip was such a success, she did it another 2 times. After I left Murchison in 2012, after living with Gigi for 12 months in Tatura, Gigi again wanted to be close to family and moved to Redcliffs, where we are today. It is at this point I would like to acknowledge and thank Andre and Ruth for being there for Gigi and making her so welcome and helping her adjust to her new community. It has not always been easy, especially for Ruth, and for that I'm forever grateful. I think it has something to do with Newton's law of polarities. Opposites attract, others repel. Sorry, Ruth. Gigi started showing signs of dementia in Tatura. However, we were the uneducated then, and were not sure how, what, why to deal with this hideous condition. Again, I lift my hat off to Andre and Ruth for their tenacity and commitment in guiding and caring for Mum. There are many stories that could be told of Gigi. She was brave, tenacious, adventurous and stubborn. I know where I get it from. Loving, caring, organised, family committed and social. She loved people. She would always be there if you needed her. Gigi has influenced a lot of people in her life and in her own way left her mark in this world. She will be missed but not forgotten. I would also like to thank Chafey Aged Care for the past 5.5 years for caring for Gigi. Whether I agree or not with the options society gives our elderly at end of life, I appreciate what they have done for our mum, grandma, Genevieve, Gigi. Thank you. Now, as Andre said, he cannot. Ingrid is in California and can't be with us, but she's asked me to read something for her that she's put together. This is from a loving daughter, Ingrid. Mum was a perfect example of living to the fullest. She was courageous, dependable, creative, loyal and adventurous. Family was always her priority and she was there for each one of us when we needed her. She has a strong work ethic and was never one to sit still when there was something that needed to be done. Her life was full and meaningful. I would like to publicly acknowledge the role of Andre and Ruth and in Mum's life in the last few years. Their dedication to ensuring Mum was safe and well is beyond measure. Ruth didn't always have it easy with Mum, but Ruth, I want you to know, it is in a conversation I had with Mum while she was still living in Redcliffs and still had all her faculties. She told me how grateful she was for your kindness and care. Your efforts did not go unnoticed. From the bottom of my heart, Andre and Ruth, thank you. Although Ingrid likes me to read a poem, this is You're Gone, written by Shannon Walker. Although you're gone, I'm not alone, and never shall be. For the precious memories of the bond we shared will never depart from me. Our love surpassed the ups and downs and helped us along the way. And that same love will give me strength to manage the loss each day. On my mind and in my heart, Mum, you shall forever be. For just as much as I'm part of you, you are a part of me. Mum told me a few years ago that she wasn't frightened of dying. It's just that she didn't want to leave us. I believe that as long as we all keep sharing her stories and the millions of memories we have of her, then she will never really leave us. Rest now, Mum, you've earned it. Although I can almost hear you say, don't tell me what to do. I miss you, Mum, and love you tons. Thank you.
Whoops, sorry. Thanks, Gerard. That was great. Thanks, Ingrid. Beautiful words. And eulogy was great, Gerard. I'm not sure about the perfection bit at the start, but it was good. I'm going to ask a bit of an oversight too, and I really apologise for that. I didn't acknowledge Ghislaine, who is Mum's niece, and of course her family who have come with her with small ones and big ones, so all the way from Bendigo. So that was an oversight, I'm sorry. But Ghislaine will come. Actually, I'm going to ask Tasha to come now. Tasha would love to say something about her grandmother.
I'm fine. I know my grandma and I went to Everlast together, and me and grandma went to Ikaria with mum, and we had rock pool with her, and she was always smart. And I know what grandma has to do with us. I love her, and take care of yourself, grandma. I love you.
That was fantastic. Well done. Ghislaine, would you like to come and share your memories? As I said, Ghislaine is Mum's niece, daughter of Mum's sister who passed away sadly last year, wasn't it? A little bit over a year ago. So.
Yeah, so I'm Ghislaine, and my mother and Gigi were sisters. My aunt played a particularly big role in my life. When I was born, I wasn't particularly well, apparently, and Mum and Dad had lost my brother before me, and my grandmother offered to take me from the island, Mauritius Island, to Europe, where she was on her way to see doctors there that might be able to obviously save me. And my parents obviously agreed. And I ended up in Egypt, or either Egypt or Sudan. I'm not very clear on that because their family moved a lot. And Gigi and my aunt, Gigi and my grandmother took care of me until my mother eventually was able to join us. So she played, as an infant, a huge role in my life, and apparently she used to love promenading me, and I would often be mistaken for her daughter, which she relished. So I felt very, very close to her. Okay. One of the lovely, everything you've heard about Gigi is absolutely phenomenal. She's a remarkable woman, and my particular memory of her is of a woman who just vitally embraces life, warts and all, has no fear, looks at things in the face, names them for what they are, and moves along. And with both her and my mother, who had those qualities, I had to come out with something of the same myself. And a lovely memory I have is of Gigi when she went back to Makwema. I had my first child, and I was sewing. She'd gone off to save some of those pennies, obviously, that allowed her to pay the mortgage off. And I was sewing on it with some textured terry toweling, and it was a yellow, canary yellow outfit that I was making for my baby. And as I was cutting on the floor, which was dark green, and I lifted the pieces up of the pattern, there was a very, very clear outline of everything that I had actually cut. Well, I didn't vacuum it because I knew that the moment she came in, she burst out laughing, seeing what I had actually been doing, and rejoiced with me for that creativity. And that was exactly the kind of thing. No, it wasn't about criticism or you've done the wrong thing or you didn't clean it up. And it was about the moment and about the joy and about the joy. And one of the things that we shared, and I won't hold you up because obviously I've got a lifelong memories of her in all sorts of situations, but was we did a course together again when my first child was born back in '79, and the knitted fabrics were only just coming into play, so there was a particular way of how to sew them. So we did a course together, and it was called the Knitwit course because knitting, Knitwit. Anyway, I remember after a few sessions and receiving our certificates, and it said obviously we had certified that we had done a Knitwit course, she held it up and said, "I'm officially a Knitwit," which of course was just so much her. I loved her very, very dearly, and she left a huge impact in my life as she has in everybody else's. Thank you. Thanks, Andre.
Thanks, Kaz. Ruth, would you like to come and share? This is my wife, Ruth. I think you all know that.
Well, I don't know. No, I'll go back. The last 5 years when Grandma came up and lived with us, that was so precious to me, and it was a really healing time. And in that time, Gigi and I became great friends, and they're the memories that I hang on to. So much fun, so much friendship, so much sharing. And I know that Gigi was lots of different things to different people. And I was thinking, what were the 3 things? And they've been mentioned this morning, those 3 qualities. Passion. Of course, she lived life with so much passion. Dancing, smiling, singing, drinking, laughing, crying. So passionate. She lived life with great courage, always willing to learn to become a nitwit, to go to places she'd never been before with not enough money, to make new friends. Always so much courage, wasn't scared of anything, and don't tell me what to do. I really admire that quality, and I think one of the things that I admire most is her generosity. She was so generous with her smiles, so generous with her love, so generous with her money, so everything about her, just shared everything she had to share, never ever held back. And I think one of the things that encourages me is that I see his 3 children or so. I see her grandchildren, and I see her great-grandchildren and all of her friends and people that knew and loved her, paying Grandma forward, paying forward the generosity that she planted within us, paying forward the courage that she planted within us, and paying forward that passion for life that she planted with us. And as long as we're all doing that, I think that we will never lose the Grandma.
Thanks, honey. Renee. My daughter Renee, and she would like to share this morning on behalf of the cousins, yeah? And well done.
Bear with me, I'll get through this the best I can. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Renee, one of many grandchildren of the late Gigi. Today I'll be speaking on behalf of Gigi's grandchildren and Yaya's grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. For anyone who doesn't know, if you're in our family, it didn't matter who was your actual grandmother, both Yaya and Grandma Gigi treated us all as their own. Today I'll be sharing some fond memories that we have all had with Grandma. I'm going to start with Christmases in Barwon Heads, the excitement of not only going to see the whole family, but getting to see Grandma. There were cousins, aunties, uncles, and everyone in between. Some of our most precious and fond memories all happened at 5 Coogee Court, Barwon Heads. I remember when we would come back to Grandma's after a swim at the beach, we would all have to wash ourselves down with a hose in her front yard, and then it would be a fight to get to the shower first. I'm not sure why we all fought about it, as Adrian would always win. We would all line up outside the shower just to get a wash. Too bad if you were last, it was going to be cold. Grandma and that bloody camera of hers. Every time we were all together, out came the camera and the eye rolls. Really, Grandma? But back then, we didn't really look at the bigger picture. Here we are. Today we celebrate because we have so many photos of Grandmas to look back on for many years to come. So for that, Grandma, we thank you. Also, a fun fact about Grandma and photos. Very rarely you will see her with glasses on in a photo. She would almost always take them off before a photo was taken. Another fond memory is when Yaya and Grandma would often have heated discussions in the kitchen. It would always start in English and end in French or some other language, usually because we'd all start having our own input. Singing Auntie Fond, Fond, Fond to us all the time. Also to her great-grandchildren, who I'm pretty sure didn't appreciate it as much as we did. Grandma also used to sing Katerina to her Catherine, with slight lyric changes, but looped the one sentence over and over again. Grandma would often say man after a sentence. For instance, come off it, man. No, I'm not joking, man. What do you think, man? I'm not that old, man. When Lucas got his motorbike licence, he took a ride to Barwon Heads, and without hesitation, Grandma was on the back of that bike ready for a spin. Grandma used to go and visit Nathan at university and sit in his practice room while he'd practice his piano for hours and listen to him play and try and sing along, and then they would get pizza and beer and sit on the south lawn at his university. Grandma would pick Nathan and I up in her orange combi van in Melbourne and drive us back to Barwon Heads for a week with her. It always felt like an adventure. The most important thing to Grandma was her family. One thing that she taught us well is family always comes first, no matter what. She was the most supportive role model in our lives, no matter what the situation or the circumstance. Today we mourn her life, but also celebrate her life. She was the most stubborn, fearless, adventurous, and generous mother, grandmother, great-grandmother anyone could ever ask for. We love you, Grandma. Your presence here on earth will be sorely missed by all of us. We thank you for the life you led and the legacy you leave behind. We will forever be grateful for you and eternally blessed that the universe chose us to be your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We salute you.
Thanks, Renee, that was beautiful. Mum loved her family, loved her children, loved her grandchildren, loved her great-grandchildren. There was a fierce loyalty and commitment to the family there. Almost too much, if you can say that. And I remember in 1985 when I found myself as a single dad with two very young children, Renee and Nathan, that I hadn't sort of told anyone, or I was trying to manage things, and then Mum found out, and she was living in Queensland with Dad, and as Gerard already shared, that their marriage was pretty much over. And so when she found out about me, she said to Dad, well, I have to go and help. And my dad gave her an ultimatum, unfortunately, and said, look, it's either you go south, our marriage is over. But Mum, I think, pretty much knew it was over anyway. So she came all the way down and lived with me for about 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it was, and helped me get back on my feet. I'd gotten into debt, and she helped me all through that. And there was never a question about whether she would come down or not. She never forgot holidays, birthdays. She always remembered birthdays, always sent cards to the grandchildren and children. She was amazing like that. And I was chatting with the family the other night with Gerard and that, and I was saying, I've heard stories about Mum's, she was quite a mischievous young person, and it was agreed that, there were stories of her, climbing out of convent windows and sneaking off and doing things. And those of you who know me, most of you I think here probably know a little bit about my teenage years. They were a little bit bumpy from time to time, and you might say possibly the black sheep of the family. Although I prefer to look at myself as Slim Dusty once said, you know, the twisted branch on the family tree, just a little bit. And now I know where I got it from, you know. So I blame Mum for all that. Mum, it's just following in your footsteps, although I don't think she was quite that naughty, but pardon me. And we were up celebrating, I think her birthday or something at Chafee, and we were talking about something, and Ruth, as Ruth does, said something to the effect of, "Oh, Gigi, Andre was a very naughty boy when he was young, wasn't he?" And Mum, without even hesitating, said, "He was never naughty." So she always saw the best in people. I don't know how she did that with me, but she did. So I was grateful for that. And I always felt Mum's love, always. She was... she is having a beer, I'd say, probably a couple, I'd say, Tasha. And she loved life and she loved adventure, and that was her. And it's a legacy that's been passed on to her children, Ingrid and Gerard and myself. Each of us have done all sorts of crazy things, travelled the world at various times for various reasons. And you know, I think about my daughter Anna. Anna, I hope you're watching, I think you are. Who, you know, she's been to, you know, if you look at Anna as an example, the Philippines, France, Scotland, London, Greece, Italy, Bali, Thailand, Dubai, Jordan, India, Belgium, Hong Kong, and is currently working and living in Switzerland. She's not even 20 yet, you know. So you got that from Grandma, honey, you can blame her for that. And just a sense of adventure and living life to the full and getting out there and doing it. It wasn't easy watching Mum. Mum's health deteriorate as dementia took hold, and we had to stop her riding her push bike at 75 years old. And I've got vivid memories of her getting the bike out and after I'd pumped the wheels up, which I wish I hadn't, but then we had to slowly convince her that that wasn't a great idea. And then and also that driving wasn't a good idea. That was after coming home one time along the highway in the 100 though, and she was doing about 40 kilometres an hour with about 5 kilometres of cars and trucks backed up behind her, and she managed to get lost in Redcliffe. Who does that? And so Mum and I had a ceremonial burning of her licence in the backyard, which, you know, it took quite a bit of convincing for her to get to that place, but we did. To feel her independence slowly slipping away must have been difficult for her, being such a fiercely independent person. But in typical fashion, she was matter-of-fact about it and didn't complain and did what had to be done. Although, I do remember one time that I visited her. She was in respite in Jacaranda village just down the road here. And there were a few things that happened there. I'll just tell you one. And I drove up there, and as I got out of my car and parked to go in and visit her, as I was closing the door, I looked around and I saw this little grey, pint-sized lady about to cross the road. And I thought, oh yeah, and I turned around and I said, hang on a second. I looked back again and I recognised her as, it was Mum. So I called out the African phrase that went, Iwe, like this, and she turned around. I said, Mum. I said, where are you going? She said, home. So she was in, and it was a secure place. Like it was, she wasn't supposed to get out, but she did. And I worked out. I said, how did you get out, Mum? You know, so she waddled back inside with me. And I took her inside and said, show me how you got out. And she showed me there was a gate there. And she had worked out very quickly that if you stood on one half of the gate, that it would bend enough for the latch to go underneath the part that was locked. And she just opened it up and walked out. Well, when I took her back in, and I told the staff, I said, I found Mum outside crossing the road. The whole place went into panic, like it was lockdown. And the next time I went there, they had chains around all the gates. And so she wasn't going to be slowed down easily, but that was Mum. She went into full-time care at Chafee Nursing Home in 2015, where she was loved and looked after by the amazing staff for 5.5 years. And I asked Darren, immediately the CEO up there, the morning that Mum passed away last Monday, as I was walking out, I was just saying thank you to the various staff. And I saw Darren on the way out, and I said, Darren, I said, you know, thanks for everything, etc. And I said, what's the average length of a person staying here, an older person staying here? He goes, oh, probably about 2 years or 2.5 years. And so I suggested Darren he might like to think about a medal or a plaque posthumously awarded to Mum, you know. And I don't know if he took me seriously, but anyway, she was there for 5.5 years. And I'd like Gerard did, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the staff of Chafee Aged Care, the nurses, the staff. They really loved her, they really did. But that's the kind of person she was. You couldn't help but love her. And they were sad when she had passed away. And I just had a little note here, you know, if the Royal Commission were looking for a model aged care facility to hold up as a positive example to the rest of Australia, then in my opinion, they couldn't look any further. And I think they were just amazing, and thank you once again to all the staff there. Well, we're going to watch a montage of photos, and all the music you hear this morning is like Mum's favourite music. So this is the music that she loved, she sang, and at the end of the service, which is drawing close now, you'll hear a bunch of songs that you probably wouldn't usually hear at a memorial like this, at a funeral, but they're the songs that Mum loved to dance to. If you went to a party, you know, like Christmas or something like then Mum would be up there doing the YMCA with all the moves. It just terrified us because we thought, you know, she'd usually had a couple of beers by then and we weren't sure whether she was going to fall over or not, were we, Carmen? Like it was just touch and go. But just enjoy the slideshow we have with the music that we picked especially, being some of Mum's favourite music. Thanks, Thomas.
Στον αφρό της θάλασσας η αγάπη μου γεμάτα. Παρακαλώ σας κύματα, μη μου την εξύπνατε. Παρακαλώ σας κύματα, μη μου την εξύπνατε. Να λέγαμε για άλλο να πας, για άλλο να έρθεις, τα λόγια μου να θυμηθείς. Για άλλο να πας, για άλλο να έρθεις, τα λόγια μου να θυμηθείς. Να ήταν η θάλασσα κρασί και τα βουνά με ζεύες κι οι βάρκες κρασοπότηρα να πίνουν οι γλέντζεδες κι οι βάρκες κρασοπότηρα να πίνουν οι για άλλο να πας, για άλλο
regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, c'est payé. J'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs. Je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo, balayer pour toujours. Je repars à zéro. Non. Rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, car ma vie, car mes jours, ça commence avec toi.
Some great photos, evoking some great memories to a lot of people. As we approach the close of our service today, then let's be kind to ourselves, be kind to each other, and encourage each other with great memories of Mum, stories, Grandma, great-grandma, and let's mourn together, but also rejoice together at such a beautiful life. God has blessed and enriched our lives in giving us Gigi to know and love here on earth. Even though she was rich in years, it seems our time together was not enough. In committing her body to the earth, we give over to God the care of her spirit. And we acknowledge that we will one day reunite with her in God's house where Jesus has prepared a room for us. And when I used to visit Mum in the last couple of years, and one of the favourite things that she used to like me to read from the Bible was that in John, I think it is, where God says that, Jesus says that he is going to prepare a place. And we used to read that together and pray. And that was a comfort to her. The Lord bless you, Gigi, and keep her. The Lord make his face to shine upon her and be gracious to her. The Lord look upon her with favour and give her peace. Almighty God, as you once called our precious mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, auntie and friend into this life, so now you have called her into life everlasting. We therefore commit her body to her final resting place, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in the hope of resurrection unto eternal life, through the promise of our Lord Jesus Christ. We faithfully and victoriously give her over to your blessed care. Amen. Thank you for attending today and for being a part of these great memories that we have. And thanks to you guys who are watching, Anna, Donnie, Ingrid. I know you're going to be shedding a few tears like we are, and look after yourselves. So Mum's going to be taken out now to the hearse which is waiting outside. We can say our final goodbyes there. Yeah, you can take that, sweetheart, that's all right. And I'll ask Julie and Cosy if you'd like to come down and we can do that. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. One, two, three, four, five. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't wanna be a buzz like I had last week. I must stay deep, cause talk is cheap. I like Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita. And as I continue, you know they're getting sweeter. So what can I do? I really bag you, my lord. To me, flirting is just like a sport. Anything fly, it's all good. Let me jump in, please sing in the trumpet. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. Mambo number 5. Jump up and down and move it all around. Shake your hand to the sound, put your hands on the ground. Take one step left and one step right. One to the front and one to the side. Clap your hands once and clap your hands twice. And if it looks like this, then you're doing it. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. The trumpet. Mambo number 5. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. I do all to fall in love with a girl like you, 'cause you can't run, you can't hide, you and me gonna touch the sky. Mambo number 5. Katarina, oh, oh, oh. When we kiss, pretty miss, I'm in ecstasy. See. Katarina, but when we kiss, pretty miss, are you thinking of me? Are you thinking of me? Katarina, ha, ha, ha. Just how long is the list of the lips you kiss? Oh, how happy my heart would be if I knew that you love just me. Say it's true, say you do, Katarina, Katarina, oh, oh, oh. When we kiss, pretty miss, I'm in ecstasy. See. Katarina, but when we pretty miss, are you thinking of me? Katarina. Ha ha ha. Just how long is the list of the lips you kissed? Oh, how happy my heart would be if I knew that you loved just me. Say it's true. Say it's true. Say you do. Say you do. Katarina.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, what will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, what will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. One, two, three, four, five. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't wanna be a buzz like I had last week. I must stay deep, cause talk is cheap. I like Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita. And as I continue, you know they're getting sweeter. So what can I do? I really bag you, my lord. To me, flirting is just like a sport. Anything fly, it's all good. Let me jump in, please sing in the trumpet. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. Mambo number 5. Jump up and down and move it all around. Shake your hand to the sound, put your hands on the ground. Take one step left and one step right. One to the front and one to the side. Clap your hands once and clap your hands twice. And if it looks like this, then you're doing it. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. Trumpet, the trumpet, Mambo number 5. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of Sandra in the sun, a little bit of Mary all night long, a little bit of Jessica, here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man. I do all to fall in love with a girl like you, 'cause you can't run, you can't hide, you and me gonna touch the sky. Mambo number 5. Katarina, oh, oh, oh. When we kiss, pretty miss, I'm an ecstasy. See, 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 see. Katarina, oh, oh, oh. But when we kiss, pretty miss, are you thinking of me? Are you thinking of me? Katarina, ha, ha, ha. Just how long is the list of the lips you kiss? Oh, how happy my heart would be if I knew that you loved just me. Say it's true, say you do, Katarina, Katarina, oh, oh, oh. When we kiss, pretty miss, I'm an ecstasy. See, 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 see. Katarina, oh, 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 oh. But when we you're thinking of me. Katarina. Ha ha ha. Just how long is the list of the lips you kiss? Oh, how happy my heart would be if I knew that you loved just me. Say it's true. Say it's true. Say you do. Say you do. Katarina.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see.